away my darkest pain. Inside I feel my spirit rising. Emotions mended by a woman's touch. A new future on my horizon. I'll never think it too much. Through the heartache and the pain, you made my gray skies blue again. And after all that I've been through, I believe in you. Heartache and the pain, you made my gray skies blue again. And after all that I've been through, I believe in you.
Well, hello and happy Saturday to you. Mark, welcome to the room, man. Yeah, I thought that I had to miss, a couple of my shows got missed this week due to some other stuff I was dealing with, mainly being like some dental issue stuff, but thank goodness we're past that. But yeah, so I thought I'd go ahead and kind of give like kind of a weekend edition to you. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. And today's topic is on managing and controlling stress. Stress is something that I think we all deal with. And when we can form a really good aspect of what our plan is, how we're going to actually do that and control that in a manner that's going to stay healthy for us, that takes us back into a very productive and healthy process of self-care. Because let's face it, we will all experience stress to a certain degree in our day-to-day lives. Now, it could be as a result of like personal setbacks, such as a relationship breakdown or bereavement or health issues, maybe even losing a job, maybe due to other pressures at work or so forth. But in fact, stress can manifest itself for any number of reasons. And in certain instances, a healthy level of stress can actually have positive benefits for us. Now, this often occurs at work. For example, where a manageable degree of pressure can often spur us into a more productive space. Now, let's make it clear, though, it's a myth to believe that even the most laid-back person that you know is completely immune to stress. Stress is a fundamental part of everyday life for everybody, and it can never be completely eliminated. Now, it's managing it, controlling it, and putting it in a perspective within the context of your entire life. That's the key to reducing its impact. So problems arise when seemingly everyday problems start to cause us to feel completely stressed out. And while people do differ in the amount and type of stress that they can cope with, it's often the fact that those who tend to always be, stressed out have simply not learned how to control and manage their own individual stress levels and trigger points. So let's talk about that for a second. Trigger points. How do we identify those? Well, one facet is keeping a daily diary. Can be one of the best ways to identify what your personal trigger points are that cause you to feel the most stressful. And then you score those on like a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the highest. And that allows you to start to pinpoint those areas which are the most in need of control and management. So by focusing on those which cause you the most stress, you'll often find that the things that are on the lower end of the scale begin to recede until they no longer cause you any stress at all. So let's talk about some techniques then that are going to help and things that you should not do. Okay? Stress and not managing it can cause many different physical and emotional problems. You could find that it's difficult to sleep. You lay there and your head's just like going into 5,000 different directions, whirling around with all the things that you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. And this can soon lead to an overwhelming feeling of being unable to cope. Now, this in turn can lead to a breakdown in communication with work colleagues, friends, loved ones. And those are going to be the people who will be affected by your stress levels also. So, firstly, you need to be positive. Anxious worrying does not solve anything and it only makes things worse. So, you got to tackle your problems head on, no matter how difficult they may seem. By overcoming what you might have perceived as an insurmountable obstacle, you'll eliminate that specific stress trigger and feel better about yourself. And welcome new people to the room. Deanna, good to see you again. Kurt, welcome. Be careful how you express yourself in words and how you relate to others. Try to maintain positive, maintain that positive atmosphere. Okay? Negative thoughts and words can often lead to resentment and depression. So don't feel as though you have to please everybody all the time, because you don't. And people who often feel stressed most of the time have a tendency to try to do too much in an effort to please everybody else. But you got to learn how to be assertive and to say no when you have to. I mean, let's face it, there's only 24 hours in a day, right? So what we're talking about today is a healthy way to manage and tackle stress. So I'm going to share with you now some do's and don'ts. So let's start with some of the do's. Manage your time efficiently. Instead of waking up with the thought of the mountain-sized tasks that you have to fulfill that day and looking at them as, one complete entity, well, break them down into much smaller, manageable tasks and allocate a certain amount of time to each one. Prioritize as you go, ensuring that the most important tasks are completed first, and don't put off doing those until the end of the day. Get them out of the way first. If they're the most important, get them done. And don't feel that you need to complete the whole list. If there's not sufficient time, then simply tack on, all the ones at the bottom of the list, the least important, and put them on tomorrow's list. It's okay. They'll keep. Take some time out for relaxation and for some just general joy. Give yourself some laughter. Stroll in the park, watch a funny DVD. This can have a dramatic effect on reducing stress levels. You got to take care of yourself. Pamper yourself a little bit. Go to the gym. Give yourself a beauty session. Listen to your favorite music. But make time for that. Don't simply put it on, while you're trying to do 101 other things. Whatever it takes, it's important to take some time out. And you got to relax a little bit. Have a little bit of fun. Life may have its problems, but it's important to still appreciate its lighter side along the way. If you compound your brain with just, oh my God, I got to get this done all the time, you are not just affecting your mental state, you're affecting your physical state. Then you get all jacked up. Then you start feeling stressed and tense, and you're carrying that along the way. Jeff, welcome to the room. See, then when you start feeling that way, that's when you're going to have to start jumping on Naked Jeff's room every morning so you can just stretch out. Stretch out your tension. Stretch out the madness that you're creating for yourself because you're not taking the time to take care of you physically. And when you take care of yourself physically, you can help to start taking care of yourself mentally. Always look to build bridges and not to put up barriers. Communication is vital in overcoming stress. Your family and friends may be all that you need, but you should learn to recognize if you need more specialists, like some help, then get the help. If you need some advice, get the advice. But start building a good, healthy practice plan that's going to help you start navigating your life and the things that you need to get done. Now, let's talk about the things that you do not want to do. Don't always be expecting the worst to happen. It rarely does. But if you go looking for a negative outcome to your problems, that's exactly what you'll probably end up with. So always look on the bright side of life. As you know, it's you know you gotta take notice of what seeds you plant out there. That's exactly what you're going to start to reap back. So if you're planting out there stress and negativity all the time, what do you think you're going to get? What's your harvest? Your harvest is going to be stress and negativity. And then you're not the only one that's going to experience that. Everybody else that's in your world is going to feel that too. Don't use drugs unless prescribed. Alcohol, tobacco, overeating as a comfort blanket. You need to confront your problems head on. If work's the issue, don't let it control your life and learn to balance work with your personal life, not at the expense of your life outside of work. Don't blame others for your feelings, even if they've contributed to your stress. Blame solves absolutely nothing. You got to simply recognize the problem and do something about it. Don't keep up your anger and frustration bottled and, until it's ready to explode. It will usually erupt, and it will often be someone close to your heart who bears the brunt of that anger. You got to recognize your anger and frustration and recognize that early on and discuss things with those that you care about. Stress will not simply disappear. Often it builds and builds because of the sufferer's unwillingness to take their own responsibility for it and to do something about it. And if you feel that you can't cope on your own, then seek some help to do that. Too much stress and our inability to cope with it can not only ruin our lives, but the lives of those who are closest to us. And if we're not careful, it can irreparably destroy relationships. If your own attempts at controlling it aren't working for you, then it's time for you to let some people know around you. Talk to your best friend, seek some professional help, whatever the case may be. But you got to start getting yourself back to a place. And I'm going to bring this back around now to a little scope of self-care. Self-care, self-awareness, self-love. It's like I have a lot of patients I work with, and I work with people that own their own companies and do all this stuff. So they work with stress on a daily basis. And let me tell you something. I wasn't joking earlier. Whenever I was making reference to taking the time to do things like, for example, jumping into a 20-minute session with Jeff every morning. Jumping into a mindfulness class, doing some yoga. Listen. When you do things like that, exercise and taking an active measure on what you're allowing to rest on yourself, on your physical body, has an epic, good, positive effect whenever you deal with it. But when you don't deal with it, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it when you're trying to sleep at night. You're going to feel it when you get up in the morning. You're going to feel it when you're just trying to tackle all of these problems, those 101 things that are keeping you awake at night and all of that, because you don't have a plan. You're letting everything mount up on top of you, and you have to take the time for self-care. You have to take the time to be self-aware. You have to take the time to take care of you. And that's where that self-love comes in, and there's far too many people I talk to on a daily basis that have lost every sight and every clue of what self-care actually means. That they lose that place of having that relationship with yourself. And you have to maintain the relationship with you. if you lose your relationship with yourself and you're not even friends with yourself anymore because you're just life sucks. Like, I'm just under all this stress. I got to deal with all these different things and just screw it. Well, when you get to that place, that's the time that you have to realize, hey, I need to take a breath. I need to start doing something for me. I need to take that walk in the park. I need to take 30 minutes to sit back and listen to the music that I really love to hear. I need to take time to, read a book, watch a movie, do something for you that's going to help you relax and detangle the mess that you create inside. So, guys, my shows, as always, they are an open forum. I want to invite anybody that would like to come up here and share a couple of words or share some thoughts or tell me what you're doing for yourself this weekend. How do you manage and deal with your stress? Come up here, share some thoughts with me, share some thoughts with everybody listening. Deanna, I was hoping you would do that. And Jeff, I'm hoping you do it too. But Deanna, welcome. Happy Saturday. How are you?
I am great. We have a little chat going on, so we'll see with Jeff because we're determining how much longer we'll be calling him Naked Jeff. Anyway, it's been a great de-stressor, by the way. So
See, that's good.
right, laughter, laughter,
Yes.
laughter, laughter, laughter. I think it's one of the best ways to deal with your stress
Yeah,
is kind of maybe just take a pause and recognize that where you are is just a place and time, and to kind of just disengage for a second. And that's not to say that we
absolutely.
don't recognize our feelings. We're not telling you to deny it, bury it, whatever. Because if you
Right.
don't process your stress, it just gets worse. But to be able to kind of like put it in a little bubble and get some perspective around it. And I like how you said that earlier. Like just know that there is, life after. And I feel like that's kind of been my theme here on this platform. It's just
Right.
like the laughter after, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like to what you brought out with the self care because I feel like with self care, it can encompass so many things. And it's getting a bad rap because people are just using it so frivolously these days.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
they're just saying,
Yes.
"Oh, we need self care. Oh, it's the girls' night out. Self care. We're going to get mani pedis." Well, I
Yeah.
mean, great. That might be your self care. That could be your self care sometimes. But self
Sure.
care is also eating the right food and getting the workout routine done so that you releasing the hormones that have
That's
built up,
right. That's
stress.
right.
So all of that is also self care. It's not always the fluff, and that's what I kind of think people just look at it and dismiss it when you talk about it. And so I reverse it and go, are you taking care of yourself?
That's right.
How are you taking care of yourself? Are you caring for yourself the way you would care for your significant other or your kids or your aging parents? Are you doing it
Yes.
like that?
Yeah.
And that to me is kind of a big, huge difference.
Yeah. Oh no, you're absolutely right because of that aspect of self care, people have just it's become kind of that blanket statement, and I do the same thing you just said, and I'll turn it back around. I'm like, no, self care. It's like that's what I'm talking about is self care. Like, what are you doing for you actually, and can you even state it? Can you even say what it is you're doing for you personally? And most people can't. I had I had a friend of mine I talked to the other day. I was talking to him, and I was like, dude, are you doing any kind of self care? He goes, oh yeah, I'm on pint number 6. I'm like, yeah, I'm on beer number 6, man. I'm doing some self care. I said, no, that is not self care, my friend.
Yeah.
So, but but yeah, no, we have to get back to it. Jeff, welcome to the
What,
stage, man. First time that you and
what,
I have gotten to meet, but hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, Trinity, and I'm glad to meet you. And this is fun. And I gotta say, I am dying because of some of the stuff that I do on a daily basis. It's all about self care, and it's some of the physical and it's some of the mental part, especially the stretching. And then of course I do a lot of more weight training stuff to work a little bit more on the physical.
Okay.
But when we were talking about some of the titles and me being known as Naked Jeff, it cracks me up. I'm like, oh my god, people are going to be like, what in the great Zeus's butthole is going on with this guy? What is he doing?
I know, right?
So, oh yeah, yeah. So it's kind of fun, it is funny though. It cracks me up, but. On a serious note, the self care, it's huge, and I think that a lot
It
of
is.
people, Trinity, don't take the time. I feel like they're busy with family, they're busy with spouses or kids, and they really got to stop and go, okay, wait a second. I need to do something for me on a daily basis to put myself in the right time mind frame to be able to go out and be
There
the
you
best that
go.
I can for others. And
There
that's
you
just
go.
something that I think that's really really important.
It is because and you just hit the nail on the head there because people do they come in and it's like it becomes about everybody else all the time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
everybody else. It's my job. It's my everybody else comes first, comes first, comes first. And when you do that, you're just compounding. You're just going to layer up your own stress. You're going
you
to
better
layer up
believe it.
your own what you feel physically, what you feel mentally. The times that you are kind of laying awake and you can't get to sleep. Well, it's because
Yeah,
you're not taking care of you. And you have to take that time. You have to
you
have the
have
time to
to.
just sit back.
It
Yeah.
it's so imperative and it's so important. And a lot of people they just don't. you, if you just took 15 minutes, if you took 10 minutes just to, heck, if you took 5 minutes to meditate. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm
Yeah.
happy to be up here. I'm glad you brought me up. I'm going to hop off because I've got my room and I didn't know I was conflicting with your time. So
No, you're
thanks
good,
for
man.
bringing me
You're
up.
good. No, and guys, whoever's not following Jeff, please give him a follow. He's doing some
Yep.
great stuff. You can jump in and he's doing some stuff in the mornings. Take the 20 minutes, jump in with Jeff. It'll make you feel better. It makes you do something that's physical. We need to do that because it's liberating and
Yeah.
it will
And
make you feel
Trinity,
better.
you're doing it the right way. You're bringing people up and you're having engagement and that's what it's all about. And I love that, So bravo to you,
Absolutely.
man, my friend. I really enjoy it, and thank you for bringing me up, man. I really,
Oh,
really
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I'm. Thank you. I'm glad we finally got to meet. I want to jump into yours as well, like as much as I can. So yeah,
So, and I just
and
have to say, I only made it to one of Jeff's. I'm even having a hard time not just saying naked Jeff. I'm sorry, Jeff.
uh,
It's so hard. Um, but I went to stretch and I didn't do it because I kind of got on late, but I got to be his timekeeper. But it was he explains all the areas, and if you're a little bit older, so I'm 53. I think Jeff, I don't know, I think he's 50, but I might be wrong about that. Um,
Yep, you
but
got it.
then yeah, and we talked on there about how you beat your body up over time. We played
yes,
football, I danced, I did tumbling. We play sports. There were some people on there that were in military. We're rough on our bodies, and
we are.
so when he was going through it, it was nice because, not to make this a promo, but it was just nice because he talked about the areas in the nervous system and the parts that it impacts and how it works. So all of those things I feel like fit into the self care range, though, and it's
It
nice to have
does.
people who you can share that with, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No.
Trinity,
Totally. Yeah.
I'm gonna reach out to you on the back channel. I'd love to get more, and maybe we can do a room. I'd love to
I
get
would love
more
that.
of the emotional and psychological aspect into the stretching that I do or the weight training, but just to kind of share. We can do like some fun stuff together with
Yeah.
some of the with everybody and kind of get everybody having a good time and having fun. I mean, that's what it's ultimately
Yeah.
all about. So I'm
Jeff, I
more
would
than
love
happy
that.
to do that. Awesome,
Let's,
awesome. I'll
Jeff,
reach
I'm all
out to you.
about it. Yeah, okay, please do. Yeah, absolutely. Would love to do that. And listen, guys, it really is. It's like, this is not just, you know, take this for what it is. Like, you, you guys who've sat in a lot of my other shows, I always come back around to, like, you. What are you doing for you? And this comes into play with, like, when you've come out of people that are coming out of bad relationships, people that are dealing with past life trauma, people that are dealing with childhood trauma, people that are dealing with depression, anxiety, stress, and all of these things. Well, taking that time, and a lot of people are like, I don't have the time. Make the time. You have to take the time, because if you don't take the time and set yourself up as a priority, what are you giving to everybody else? If you let yourself tank, well, guess what? Your love relationship, your marriage is going to feel is going to feel the gambit of that. Your friendships are going to feel the gambit of that. Your relationship with your family is going to feel that. Your relationship with your work colleagues are going to feel that. So you have to take care of you. And when you let yourself get depleted, Well, that's your inventory. So you got to take the time to stock up. And that's whenever you can go and do those things like do the exercise, do some physical activity that releases those endorphins, that makes you feel better. It can just separate you away a minute from the stress and the things that you need to get done. Look, the list of things that you need to get done are not just going to go away magically. It's going to take your effort to do it. But whenever you energize yourself to do that, it becomes less daunting. And then you can turn around and you can start taking the small steps to get past those things. You know, I, I preach this. I berate this into people. With every patient that I work with, I make them make a plan. Like, what is your plan? But not just mentally. What is your plan physically? Are you taking care of you physically? You know, it makes you happier. It makes you feel something. It makes you elevate. That's what we want to do. We want to elevate. We want to get to a different place. We want to get to a healthy place. You know, and sometimes, and it's okay. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's okay if it doesn't happen overnight. What matters is that you make a plan to do something and you're actually stepping out there to do it. You know, and this is something that is always going to be the case. I've been doing psychology for 25 years, and I can tell you that in that 25 years, that one concept is one thing that I've never steered away from. It's getting yourself to a healthy atmosphere and environment that you live in mentally and physically, because they go hand in hand. And managing stress really does start there. It starts with you understanding who you are, what your goals are, what challenges are you getting past from your past, and what are you setting forth for the steps for your future. And it just starts with just having some self-awareness. And we'll come back to it one more time. Self-care. Self-care. Learn who you are. And a lot of times when we've come through all of the bad stuff in our past, and we've come through, it alters our perception of who we are. Because now we start living behind all of the stress. We start living behind all of the trauma. We start living behind all of those things. And we have built those barriers and those defense mechanisms and all of these things that, guess what? It's not just, it's affecting you in every single part of your life. And that's why it's important to start getting a hold of that and rebuilding that relationship that you have with yourself first, you know? And I love going back to the concept of when we talk about romantic relationships. Well, when's the last time you romanticized yourself? When's the last time you took yourself out to dinner? When's the last time you sat and watched that movie that you love to watch? When's the last time you just sat and listened to, personal story. This whole past week, I've been dealing with some stuff. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I missed some of my shows on Fireside. It was, that was stressing me out because I was like, I wanted to be here, but I had 2 oral surgeries. One of them went bad. I was at a pain level of 8 for a few days, but you know what I did? I ended up finding myself, and I was going back into, because music is my passion. That's what keeps my sanity, is music. And I sat and I took myself down this track where I was listening to all my old music that I used to listen, all the good 80s stuff, and all of that. And I just went down this music journey. And let me tell you something. My pain level subsided. I started feeling better. I was gaining a different perspective. I started feeling healthier. So, I was starting to take care of me, but because I was letting myself separate from the compounding layers that I was letting build up on me this past week. Let me tell you, it makes a difference. So we can do that, but you have to let yourself do that. You got to give yourself permission, and it's okay. It's okay to give yourself permission. And if you feel sad, if you have a moment and you need to have a good cry, have it. Have your good cry. Let it out. Let out that tension. It's okay. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And we're all human. And we all are flawed. We all have issues. We all have things we work with. We all have life. We all have bills. We all have all of these things. We are all the same in that regard. And so when we recognize that, then you have to give yourself permission. It's okay to feel these things. It's okay to feel frustrated sometimes. It's okay to feel that you have you're down a little bit sometimes. We all have that. It's a matter of having that self relationship and self care and self understanding to where you know how you are dealing with it and you're not going to let it overtake you. So that's what I have for you. Deanna, do you want to offer anything into that?
No, I mean, I really can't say any more than that. I just love the fact that, you talk about just giving yourself the permission. I think that happens in a lot of areas in our life. And I think that's the key. Giving yourself permission. You don't need to feel guilty over it. And you don't need, to prevent those issues getting trapped in your tissues, you have to let them release, whether it's a good cry or whatever. I gave this experience. I have a cousin of mine. She got cancer. She was 31. And she had some of that fast moving something that just goes crazy. And they found it early, and she had some complications. And I know that people can relate to this. And she had days, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
just like you with your oral surgery, you have days. And she would say, okay, I interviewed her one time and asked her just how you go through that. And she just said, there are days that I can't even talk to my husband about this. Like, I just need to be alone. Like, I have to lock him out of the room and tell him, okay, I need a 24-hour period. Tomorrow, I will exit this room, and she will set a time. And she's just like, I laid in there, I did what I wanted to do. If it was a pity party, watching movies, reading books, whatever. I just isolated myself and allowed all of the things to happen and just let it happen. And then said, okay, now it's time to get up, move, and do something else.
There you go.
There's nothing wrong with that. I know
No.
Wendy's going to have stuff to say on this.
Perfect. Wendy, hello. Happy Saturday to you and welcome to the room.
Hey, Trinity. Hi, Deanna. Hi, everyone in the audience. Trinity, I am so sorry that I didn't know you were going through that. And I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
Yes, what Deanna just said, I think she knew that I could relate to that, and I do that a lot because of everything that I'm going through, where and it's nice because, I do have to escape. I do have to be alone. I do have to be with my, just kind of like that old, throw the shit to the wind and just say, I just have to take care of myself right now. It doesn't matter
Absolutely.
what anybody else thinks. I got to go close the door. I have to just go be by myself. I have to go treat myself to lunch. All of that stuff, because we've got to just, you got to get through it.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it's really difficult, but getting through it, putting yourself into a different place, a different space, maybe even just going in the bathroom and putting on your makeup and doing your hair, and it's just that simple, right? But it makes you feel so much better when you're dealing with things that are just so much bigger than yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. When I do my makeup and my hair, it's game day. That's what I'm saying.
Tell them what your hair normally looks like. Go ahead.
Do what? No.
Tell them what your hair normally looks like.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Normally, this is a fun story. I grew up a punk rocker in Ireland and England, and so I have sported a mohawk for probably the last good 28 years of my life, and that's like my normal do, which is really fun. So yeah, and a lot of times whenever when I don't have the mohawk, that's when my friends are coming up to, hey Trinity, are you okay, man? Are you all right? What's going on? So yeah, I can relate to that.
So you might
yeah,
not do makeup, but you got a hair routine. If you're sporting a mohawk, you got some hair stuff going on in the morning.
I know, yeah, I do. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So that's a whole story that I'll share one time. I have a pretty interesting life story that I'm gonna make a show out of. But yeah, it's good stuff. But see, and that goes back to being you. Do what you need to do to take care of you, and don't worry about everybody else. And that's a lot of times too. That also contributes to that stress thing. You start worrying what everybody else has to say, what everybody else is going to think. It doesn't matter about everybody else. Nobody else is living your life. Nobody else is doing the things that you need to do. Nobody else is under the pressure you're under. Nobody else understands you as much as you understand you. And that's a lot of times where people miss out. And that's why it is important. So it's important, it's important that Wendy has her time, that she gets to go and just do her thing. It's important, Deanna, that, we have to have that time that we're just doing us. You just do you, boo. That's the thing.
I like it.
That's-
You pulled that off.
But yeah, we have to though. We have to, because
Yep.
that's what. Go ahead.
But there's also the flip side to that, right? There's the, I spent a life of taking care of my kids, right? Single mom raising two kids. So my first thought is always my boys, and my other first thought is my husband and my husband's happiness, and I don't innately or naturally, as a mother, as a responsible person, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, whatever, really think of myself first. It's not my nature. And at 67 years old, I have learned that I have to make it my nature to think of myself and to take care of myself first at this point in my life. Because so that's why it's so important. Well, everybody does you have to, it's not so easy to just wake up one day and say, okay, you know what? I come first, everybody, and I'm going to take care of myself. You really have to make this entire shift in how you live your life.
Well, you do.
I might say that.
No, okay, in what you're saying, here's the point of that though. Like, you are focused, like you're being a great mom, you're being a great wife, you're doing these things. However, if you don't let yourself be first, like there's a method and there's a system of healthy selfish. And so we have to have an element of that healthy selfish, because if you're not taking care of you, then you are depleting the aspects of you that you're giving into everything else you're doing.
Agreed.
Because like if you let yourself deplete, well, that affects you as an entrepreneur. It affects you as a mom. It affects you as a wife. It affects you as a friend, right? So we have to have that element to where we take care of us. We got to be focused on that, not in the negative selfish, but in the healthy selfish. And that's what's so important.
I like to call it me too, like I'm
Yeah.
going to take care of my kids. I'm going to take care of my husband, and I'm going to take care of my business, but I'm going to take care of me too. And I'm going to give it
That's
as
right.
equal importance as that. But I totally get what Wendy's saying, because we don't give it equal importance as women and moms. And it could be a social thing. And hopefully we're pulling away from that a little bit. But just being raised in a certain way, having certain beliefs that you're raised in, a culture that you're raised in,
Yeah.
it doesn't come naturally to just say me too. Like, I have literally had difficulty going on vacation and not being able to stay present and enjoy the vacation, feeling guilty for, say, enjoying a vacation and spending money, knowing that because I work for myself, I'm not making money while I'm on vacation, or knowing,
Right.
or knowing that while I'm spending money on vacation, my son may be home struggling financially, and when so like what Wendy's saying, is such a weird, psyche, I guess is what it really is, right?
Right.
While we're talking about PsychCandy here, um, it really is. You have to force the mind shift, but I do feel like the more that I do it, the easier it becomes. So you just
Absolutely.
have to do it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Because it is. And it is a mind shift, and especially depending on when we're able to embrace this. And sometimes, sadly, people are embracing this later in life and after a lot of things, and yeah, then we have to break past some of those bad routines that get formed due to various reasons. But when you start doing that, it'll become easier, It's just about just taking things down and breaking things down into smaller bits, and then it's much easier to build a good process around that. I want to just give a quick shout out. There's a lot of new people that have come in here, and Fallon, I'm so happy to see you coming. I haven't gotten to talk to you yet, but thank you so much for popping in here as well. And yeah, and this is all of my rooms. Anytime I hold a talk, it's an open forum. If you guys want to come up on stage and share and talk and give your 2 cents, please do so. You're always welcome. And today we've been talking about managing and controlling stress, and just kind of getting back to a place of having some self-awareness and self-care, and building a practice that's going to help you have a healthy dynamic in what you're doing, and have a healthy place when we wake up in the morning. Nobody likes waking up in the morning and just, those moments when it's like, you know what, I'm not leaving the bed. The blankets have considered me one of their own, and if I leave now, I'm going to break their trust. So screw everything else. And we don't want to get into a cusp where we're living that way. We want to get into a place where we're really embracing the positive dynamics of us, and that's what's most important. So that's what I have for you today. If anybody else wants to add anything, I'm going to let you do that now, and otherwise I'm going to probably be wrapping this room up in just a moment. So Deanna, Wendy, do you guys want to interject anything else here?
Not really. I think that, sorry. Yeah, just my own advice is really, yeah, we got to take care of ourselves. I mean, I think most people know what I'm dealing with, but just wake up every day, celebrate life. And if you can find time for self-care, that's awesome. If you can't, then just give love wherever you can. And that's it. And thank you, Trinity, for all you do. And thanks for having me up. And everybody have a really great weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so much. And Deanna, thank you too for coming up here and for sharing. Do you want to add any last words of wisdom?
No, I just wanted to tell everybody to have an awesome weekend. I'm glad I got to pop in here. I had an appointment that kind of canceled, and so here I am. So glad I got
I
to
love it. I love it.
Y'all have a great weekend. Thanks for having me, Trinity.
Thank you, Deanna. Well, guys, as always, I hope you're able to take something from this. I hope you do. Do something for you this weekend. Just try to find even a moment. Do something for yourself. Do something that takes you to a better place. And yeah. So until next time, be happy, be healthy. I hope you have a blessed weekend. Love and light to everybody. Cheers.